If you think the environment is too racist for you, then why not seriously consider immigration? People see an adult, particularly a man, complaining regularly about a problem. People look at that man as a child, as a boy. Because even though we try to live in this gender equal society, the reality is there are still gender norms, whether people want to admit it or not. The norm for a man is to fix things, solve problems, and find solutions. So this is why, more than anyone, more than women, a man complaining is disregarded, because it is assumed that you have the power and the strength to find a solution to the problem. This is what men have been doing throughout human history. So it's rather alien to see a person, a man, a grown man, complain about a problem persistently. And in my opinion, this is the precursor to the disrespect that a lot of black men receive in general. People are obsessed about skin color and their race, but in reality, respect and power transcends race. If you are a boss of a company that pays thousands of people, people can have their own individual beliefs, but at the end of the day, if they want their payment, they are going to respect you as the boss. And I'm passionate about this subject because I can see that a lot of black men didn't really get this advice growing up, especially if we consider half or even over half of black kids are being raised by single mothers. So how are you going to get the male influence to balance out and to also add upon your self-esteem, to relay the knowledge of how a boy can become a man? Who's going to do this? And so with this miseducation, a lot of black men are just walking around like children, having opinions that are childlike. You can complain and complain and complain about racism, but no one's going to fix it for you. At the end of the day, and this is the reality about racism, is that people are selfish. So expecting people to make your life pleasant is stupidity. But to accept this reality, people need mental toughness. And you see, throughout the years that you've watched my videos, you've seen me do the same few things. You've seen me go out for walks in the mornings like these. You see me in the gym. You probably see me kicking a bag. Because, to be honest with you, these things I don't do to look good. I think I'm over that. I'm not trying to build muscles. I've built up my muscles. It gets boring just, placing such importance on aesthetics. What I realized at a certain point is that this is about mental health. This is about strengthening the mind. I do these things to stay afloat, to not fall into weakness, and to not succumb to victim mindsets, feelings of powerlessness. Obviously, to some degree, we don't have full control over our lives, obviously. I can't stop paying taxes. Otherwise, I could, but then I'm going to get arrested. The bits of my life that I can control, I will control. And I say that to say, the advent of racism, you can't control. You can't control how people think. There's no point worrying about a person that wants to cross the road because they are afraid that you might be a mugger. Only consider the things that you can control. And what you can control in that instance, for example, is considering the fact that, hey, perhaps that person just crossed the road because they just had to cross the road. The weaker minds automatically assume the worst or succumb to their own inferiority complexes or insecurities and immediately just go to the worst case scenario. And this is, again, the purpose of doing the things, having the habits that will lead to mental toughness. Someone like, what's his name? Goggins, David Goggins? I can't remember his first name, but regardless of what you think about him, maybe he's just a meme, he's just, a character. But do you think this is a guy that's going to be complaining about or worrying about some, little white girl crossing the road as he approaches them on the pavement? Do you think that's going to be on the forefront of his mind? Someone like that. This is the result of having a strong mind, developing mental toughness. And, you know, it's like a form of efficiency. You're not going to waste time complaining about things that you can't change, but you might actually start to think about the things that you can change, solutions. So, hey, look, if you think the environment is too racist for you, then why not seriously consider immigration? If you think the job, your work, your boss is just a meanie, racist, hates you, why not consider making your own business? There are so many options at people's disposal, but when you lack mental toughness, you will just only ever think the worst. But anyway, I'm gonna get my training on. Let me know what you think about this video in the comments below, and I'll catch you next one.